Okay. Hi, my name is Zaire Robinson Joseph, and I'm here with my father. His name is
Damo, the Jack of all trades, and this is the FNS podcast. So that stands for what, son?
Father and Son Podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you.
We appreciate it. So, on the outbreak of the coronavirus, what word comes to mind when you hear pandemic?
When I hear the word pandemic, the first thing that comes to my mind is fear. People are basically in a state of uncertainty and stress. Definitely stress. So, pandemic, epidemic, all of those words being used right now in the public eye is definitely when people hear it, it can instill fear in certain people because they hear the word and then they're just like, oh wow, and then that fear can then heighten stress, and stress can lead to a whole bunch of other different things. So yeah, that's what I think about when I hear the word pandemic. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what are your thoughts on New York being the only place still on lockdown and quarantine?
I think, to be honest with you, New York being left on quarantine, it seems like they're using New York as a testing ground or testing area because New York is like one of the biggest cities or states, but definitely New York City is one of the biggest cities within the country. And what usually happens in New York, most of the other states and cities just follow suit. They follow through. So I think what they're doing in New York City is trying to test what's going on in New York City because in New York City, everybody's congested. There's a lot of toxic noise and everybody's on top of each other. Versus in around the country in different states, it's more spaced out. So just living in any city, but New York City itself, of course, because of Wall Street and all of the money that is here in New York City, right? They're definitely trying to see what's going to happen here with the people, and it seems like they're testing it to see how the people respond so the other governors, other mayors, and other different states will know what to do. So they're leaving New York as that testing ground. This is my personal opinion.
It's a good opinion.
Thank you, son.
How do you feel about everyone wearing masks in New York and other places?
Very good question. Thank you, son. I honestly feel that the masks are pointless. We have to understand that masks, what they're doing, first of all, when you put in a mask over your nose and your mouth, you're basically, when you're going to be breathing, you're going to be recycling all of your toxic air, which is carbon dioxide. So you'll be heightening your carbon dioxide levels while lowering the oxygen levels. And what that is going to do is just make your body more susceptible to viruses and things of that nature. It's going to suppress your immune system because now you're raising your carbon dioxide level, something that your body is trying to get out, and you're missing out on that fresh oxygen. You're just breathing all of the air that you're excreting when your body's trying to get that out. Also, it's hot air, So if you have a mask on, especially if you're working out, you're dancing, you're doing any form of physical activities in your house, or you're going, first of all, it's not going to protect you from getting anything. These viruses and pathogens of that nature, they're small microns. They'll easily go through any form of mask. Those surgical masks are only used to either protect the patient that they're doing surgery on so that the doctor doesn't spit or put any saliva on the wound and things of that nature. So it's not to protect the doctor or the person that's wearing it, So me personally, I feel like the masks are not doing anything. I think it's actually doing more harm to people because there's people actually wearing the mask, actually in this hot weather now, and they're not getting enough oxygen. So by default, they're going to be lowering their oxygen levels, and we need oxygen. We're oxygen beings, right? We can fast from food, we can fast from water for a couple of days, couple of months, but if you fast from oxygen for a couple of minutes, we won't be here. So we need oxygen.
Definitely. what is your thoughts of like what's gonna happen after the pandemic? Is like everything not gonna be the same? Is everybody not gonna care about it? Like, what are your thoughts on it after this?
Definitely, it's definitely not going to be the same, son. I think most people can kind of come to that conclusion, but definitely we're still in a time of uncertainty, so people really don't know. But what I would come to conclude from my research and when I've been me doing my due diligence, I'm just seeing that, you know, going back into society is definitely not going to be the same. And it's going to be a change that we all, from your generation all the way up to, the elders, everything is changing. So the economy, when it comes to health and the pharmaceutical companies, what they're trying to do, education, as you can see, learning from home, remote learning, there's a lot of changes that's about to go into play. And I don't think that the general masses is really prepared for it. That's just me speaking the truth, but this is what it is. This is the reality of the situation. And I think most people are just waiting for, the powers that be or the government to kind of give them an answer or a solution, when we, especially as Black people, should be trying to find a solution for ourselves.
Definitely. Again. This was a good podcast.
Okay, cool. That's the last question? That was the last question?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well,
okay, everyone.
Thank you.
The end of FNS.
The Father and Son podcast. Thank you for coming out, checking us out. We really appreciate your time and all that, So I hope you guys got a lot of information from what we did put out. And we appreciate you, y'all. All right.
Everyone stay safe.
Stay safe. Peace, love,